Hey guys, what is up? Steven here. I'm going to do another film breakdown today on a guy that I and Tyler both really like. I have him as my wide receiver three, and I think Tyler has him as his wide receiver four, and that is Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss. I'm a big fan of his, and so is Tyler. And I think he's got a great skill set to come into the NFL and be an instant contributor as a slot wide receiver. And we'll talk about a little bit why I like him so much, but I think he's great after the catch. He's a great route runner. He's got excellent hands, and he's also a dynamic athlete, which we'll get into. He's got some positional versatility to him, which is something that I really look for, especially out of slot receivers. That's why I was hoping for Joe Reed to have a little bit more of a role this year, but that's neither here nor there. So before I get there, I did do my wide receiver rankings recently. I have bumped Jalen Waddle up to wide receiver four. De'Ami Brown from North Carolina is currently my wide receiver five. And then let me make sure those are the only two changes. For what it's worth, to those who are interested, Terrace Marshall did move into my number 11 slot, and I did move Josh Palmer down a little bit as well. Terrace Marshall is currently number 10. And then Tyler Wallace moved up a little bit. So I pegged Josh Palmer a little bit down. I still really like him as a sleeper, but I had to go back and revisit and just kind of realize that I was being a little crazy there. So Terrace Marshall is wide receiver 10. Tyler Wallace is number 11 for me. Okay, that being said, talking about Elijah Moore, just wanted to clarify that for those who are interested. But let's get to this Elijah Moore film breakdown. Got a few clips for you guys that I'm really excited about, and let's get to it. All right, so getting to this Elijah Moore breakdown, I think, I mentioned the first thing that he brings to the table is a high level ability to run routes and separate. And that's obviously something that slot receivers have to do, right? Because they are often the guys who are running the short routes. They have to get open, and they have to get open quick. And so you've got to be a dynamic athlete. You've got to be able to create separation with your hips, with your legs, with your hands, some kind of way. Like Hunter Henry is able to separate over the middle because of his strength, because of his hands. Like, he's not creating separation with his feet in a way that Keenan Allen is, or a way that KJ Hill can with his kind of route running ability. So you've got to bring those kind of quick twitch athleticism to the table. You don't necessarily have to be a long stride, deep down the threat burner, like a Tyrell Williams or like a Travis Benjamin. But you've got to be able to get open quick. And that's what Elijah Moore does so well for Ole Miss. So the thing that I love about Elijah Moore is that he's not just a slot receiver. Like, he is a true number one wide receiver for Ole Miss. And you can tell because they moved him all over the field, right? He wasn't just a slot guy like a KJ Hill was. You watch Ohio State from 2019, and Chris Olave is the number one, and Garrett Wilson is the number one, or not Garrett Wilson. He's a freshman this year. I forget, but KJ Hill was exclusively a slot wide receiver. When you watch Elijah Moore, he's moving around all over the field, which is what I love. So here he is at the top, and he's going to run a sluggo, which is a slant and go route. And it's just a filthy route combination for, one of my favorite players in this class. He just creates separation in an instant, like so quick. He's so dynamic this way. And it's just a little subtle move towards the outside. Didn't go back far enough, excuse me. So he's going to run this slant and go, and then it's just boom, plants his foot in the ground, and he goes. And when you turn a corner around, you're doing the right thing. And then, it's a little underthrown ball, and he's able to high point it and make the catch. So the next one here, I wish I was able to get some all 22 of this game because it was so much fun to watch. But you watch him in the slot here. He was giving South Carolina fits in the first half. And so what South Carolina did in the second half was put JC Horn onto Elijah Moore. And unfortunately for them, it's a little too late for, Ole Miss was already in a rhythm, and they were already rolling and scoring at a high tempo. But, we all love JC Horn. He's my number one corner, right? And he's a press man corner. And so this isn't something that Elijah Moore will not see players like JC Horn pressing him from the slot at the next level. But this kind of skill set where he's able to go out against a true number one corner and beat a press like this, it shows so much for the kind of player that Elijah Moore is. Sure, he's undersized. Sure, he's maybe a little underweight, if you want to call it that, or a little, frail. Some people have thrown that word around, but that's just kind of nonsense, right? Because he's, jacked up at like no get out. So going up against JC Horn, who is 4 or 5 inches taller than him and has, 34-inch arms, whereas Elijah Moore, I think, had like 28. This should be a big advantage for JC Horn. But the way that Elijah Moore is able to win is, again, he's just an explosive route runner, and he brings that kind of separation to the table. So he is here at the bottom of the slot against JC Horn, and he's able to beat press man with his feet again. And then, a great catch, gives you a few yards after the catch for good measure. But we'll go back and watch that one more time. JC Horn is able to get one hand onto him, right? You see the left hand, then he's going to try and get the right hand off of him. And Elijah Moore just shakes him and he gets off of him. That's so impressive for somebody who's a slot receiver going against somebody who's, 6 inches taller than him or whatever the case may be. I think I said 4 the first time. A little exaggeration on my part. But just such a big fan of the way that Elijah Moore runs routes, right? So the next thing that I want to talk about, here's a different angle. Excuse me, a little overzealous there. Just another angle of him beating Horn, which happened a couple of times actually. All right, so the next thing that he brings to the table, I think he has the best hands in the draft. And there are several videos or clips that I could have chosen to kind of demonstrate this. He had this one catch against Alabama where he literally he's diving to the ground and he catches it, kind of Julian Edelman style from the Super Bowl. I don't know if anyone remembers that. And he catches it right next to the ground and just like snow cones it. And those happen a few times. And Elijah Moore is just crazy. So here he's going to come over the middle. He's going to get open, create some separation, right? A little bit of a crazy throw. Look at this catch right here. He has to spin all the way around. Like he's running this way and he's running, right? And he's going to turn all the way around and catch the ball like this. Like that's such a hard catch. No problem for Elijah Moore. Just such a tough, consistent player over the middle who's going to make life easier for whoever is throwing him the ball. I'm a big fan of the way that he is able to, secure things, bring these great hands to the table. All right. So the last thing in terms of his ability as a receiver that I want to talk about is his ability after the catch. Like a lot of people have pegged, Jalen Darden or Dwayne Eskridge. Everyone has their opinion of who is the best after the catch. And sure, a guy like Jalen Darden, Dwayne Eskridge, they're great. But for my money, I'm taking Elijah Moore in this regard. And that probably would include him over Jalen Waddle as well. So again, in the slot, gets open. Look at this ability after the catch, right? Like that's 15 yards after the catch. And he's 5'9", breaking tackles. And this is crazy, man. When I saw this on film, I was just like losing my mind. So he catches this ball, right? The kind of balance and athleticism that you have to make this first guy miss is insane. Like Kadarius Toney has this as well. Kadarius Toney is an insane athlete. Where I think we've all seen that clip by now where he kind of just sticks his foot in the ground, bends under a tackle, and then runs for 5 more yards. So both of those guys have that in them. So he catches this ball at the 35, makes one guy miss. And then he has 8 yards already after the catch. And then he's breaking tackles and gets 4 or 5 more. It's just absurd, man. What he brings to the table as an athlete is so underrated. I think everybody kind of has this view of him as just like a dynamic route runner, and he is, like we've talked about today. But he's a special athlete too, and he showed that at his pro day. Here's another example for him as an athlete after catch. I don't know why this is blurry like this, but you'll be able to see him, right? So he catches this ball at the 40, creates some great separation again with his route running ability, turns this safety around as well. And then he's going to get some explosive yards after the catch. Makes one guy miss, makes two guys miss, and then carries 2 or 3 tacklers for 4 more extra yards. So again, apologies, it's a little blurry here. I don't know what happened with this screen recording of mine, but just, showing his kind of athleticism, his balance, and his ability to create yards after the catch is just, to me, it's parallel to no one. All right, last one here. If you want to watch the best Elijah Moore game, watch the game against South Carolina. It is the best game of any receiver that I have looked at so far, and that includes Jamar Chase. Think about that for a second. I'm not throwing Kyle Pitts in there because that guy is absurd. But of all of the receivers, you watch the game against South Carolina, and I dare you not to put this guy in your top 5. I dare you. So this man had 12 catches in this game, including 2 touchdowns. And then the arrogance to put this man as a running back for the first time this year against South Carolina. And I know South Carolina is not great, but they had a great defense. And this man had like 6 carries against South Carolina, and all of them were great runs. Look at this vision as a runner. He makes somebody miss at the line of scrimmage, makes somebody miss in space. Like this guy, when I saw this, I was just like, grinning ear to ear. Like I love seeing these kind of versatile players have these kind of things. Like, look at this run, man. This is a high level run for a running back, let alone a wide receiver. And I think, when you're looking at this kind of player who can do so many different things, there's no reason why Elijah Moore shouldn't be a first round pick, in my opinion. There's none. He's not a gadget guy. He can do those. He is not an outside wide receiver, but he can do that. He's not a great slot receiver, but he is. You know what I mean? Like he brings everything to the table you could possibly want out of a wide receiver, but he's 5'9", and he's not 6'3". He's not 6'2". He's not 220 pounds. I don't care. I want this guy on the Chargers. If he's there 47, I'm having a hard time not taking him. I think Elijah Moore is a great, great player. I think he's going to be a fantastic pro. If I'm the Green Bay Packers who need a true number 2 wide receiver, I would take Elijah Moore in the first round. I really would. I feel that strongly about him. I think the Colts could use a true number 1 receiver to kind of take over for T.Y. Hilton. You look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't have a guy like this. They have DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault. Although I guess Shenault and Elijah Moore kind of do the same thing in terms of the gadget role. But to me, Elijah Moore should 100% be a first round pick. And if he's there at 47, the Chargers should take him. And he's a player why you don't take a wide receiver in the first round, because there are so many other options in the second and third round that the Chargers could take. And Elijah Moore would be such a great pick at 47, and cornerback need to be damned. Honestly, I think Elijah Moore is one of my favorite players as a target at 47. So that'll do it for me today. As always, make sure and check out Manscaped, our sponsor. You can use the code GUILTY for 20% off your purchase at checkout. They've got some great things. They just introduced a nose trimmer and ear trimmer. I know no lady wants to see a hairy nose on their man, so make sure you get that product. Use the code GUILTY for 20% off your order. And that'll do it for me. We'll see you guys next time.